Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Beaton, joined by the one, the only, the fantasy master Lothario himself, Gray Albright. How's it going over there, Gray?
Good, man. What's going on? I'm excited for the new era of the Red Sox with David Hamilton as their DH. I'm pretty stoked, man. It's the Carlos Navarez era, as people are calling it. I'm just excited to see once they get Wilyer Abreu back, man. This whole team's gonna come together now, man. What on earth did the Red Sox do, bro? What did they do, man?
Yeah, so if you are just catching up to this, Rafael Devers was traded to San Francisco. They got Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, James Tibbs, and Jose Bayo back. Obviously they signed Bregman this year.
They called me Mr. Tibbs. They call me Mr. You know what? Honestly, I think I wrote this in the roundup. But if they were to have done this trade in a fantasy league, this thing would have got vetoed. There's no way this trade would have passed. People would have been in an uproar if this was a dynasty league, as you know, sort of like MLB plays, where players come back year after year. This would have been vetoed in a second. People would have been like, they would have been in the chat in the league chat, being like, "Hey, let's kick this guy out of our league because he's terrible. Kick Breslow out of the league because he can't make trades." It's so bad. No, seriously, that's a terrible trade. Like, honestly, I don't know. Like, the Red Sox used to be a proud organization. I don't know what they're doing now, man. It's just like, I saw Bill Simmons was saying how, like, the Red Sox are run like an equity financial group, equity group. And I mean, I sort of understand it, 'cause it's like they're looking like if the team spends $300 million, say, for operating costs, and they're able to recoup $400 million, then it's a win for them. They don't care if they're like making like good moves for the on the field product. This is really like, I see people defending it with like, well, Devers' contract is really bad. It's like, yeah, so who's paying that? I'm not. I don't care about his contract. John Henry's got the money. What, and then they're like, oh, but if Devers wouldn't play third, it's like, yeah, but you didn't want him to play third because he's terrible playing third. That's pretty. It's not a hard stretch to be like, yeah, I mean, he didn't want to play third, but also you shouldn't have wanted him to play third. He wasn't a good third baseman. That's why you went out and got Alex Bregman. That was the reason. Like, I'm stupefied. I feel like I'm like Johnny Cochran. I am egregiously stupefied right now. I cannot believe this trade is just so terrible. And not to mention, June 15th is when the trade went down. So I don't know. You have like another 6 weeks to find a better offer. Like, if you really needed to trade Rafael Devers, like, okay, then take until the trade deadline and try and get a better deal. Like, maybe a team at the end of July, maybe you'll have like teams being like, we don't really want to trade all these great prospects for Devers, but it's like the trade deadline's tomorrow and we have to make a move. And it's like, then maybe you get something better. Like, what who would make a trade in June? It's June 15th. They made a trade of Rafael, like their biggest piece that they're probably going to trade in, like, I don't know, years, at least since Mookie Betts. So in 5 years. So in 5 years is the biggest trade piece they could possibly move. and they get back Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks. What even is that, man? That's terrible. Like, that's really, like, that is just a total just bottom line. Like, oh, we're just trying to, we're just moving pieces because, like, we don't care if we're going to win. It doesn't matter. We're just moving this piece because these guys are willing to take on the contract. They're willing to eat the money. So we're going to move Devers to them. And they don't even care if they're getting a good trade package back. Like, if you're looking at a team that possibly take on that contract of Devers, and granted, it's not a good contract. Like, I'm not looking forward to 2030 when it's a 35-year-old Willie Adames, a 37-year-old Matt Chapman, and a 33-year-old Rafael Devers is there, and they're looking terrible. I'm not looking forward to seeing that for the Giants in 5 years. But granted, you have until, like I said, like the end of July to see which teams would take on that money of the Devers contract and give you back a better package. There's no way you're in June 15th. There's no way that's the best deal. There's no way, like, there's absolutely no way that could be the best deal that you're ever going to get offered. Like, you didn't shop. That's not shopping around. Like, you're not looking, like, you're taking literally the first deal that comes your way and you're like, well, sounds like they're going to take on the contract, so let's do it. Like, yeah, but you're not getting anything back. You're literally not getting anything. Like, you're getting two terrible pitchers. Like, one guy who's like a work in progress, maybe. Like, he needs so much work too, Kyle Harrison, that is. Whereas, like, Jordan Hicks is like, he looks like maybe a bullpen guy. It's just it's so bad, man. It's such a bad trade. Anyway, what's your thoughts?
I mean, that's pretty much it, Gray. I mean, obviously there was the whole drama about him moving to DH and then moving to first and not moving to first. Like you said, you didn't really want him to play. Did it really matter if he played first base and Abraham Toro DH'd, or Abraham Toro played first base and he DH'd? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Mookie, at least they were coming up to a time where they were going to have to pay him. Like, they knew they weren't going to pay him. They were getting what they could at the time. That you could kind of make sense in your head. But with this many years on a contract, him having a really good season, you didn't have to do it now. You didn't even have to do it this season if you like wanted to move on from him. You could have waited till next season. You could have done any number of things other than to trade him away and not get, like, I don't know what the key piece is they got back, Gray. Like, Tibbs, I guess, like a top 150 prospect. Like, is that the headliner here? I don't really know. We've done a lot of complaining. Let's talk about a little bit on our game, Gray, the fantasy side. He is currently the number 2 third baseman, number 12 overall. Now that he's moving from Boston, which is one of the top 5 parks for lefties and in general, to San Francisco, which is a bottom 3 park for anybody and definitely lefties. Let's talk about him versus some other names. Would you rather have him or former teammate now, Alex Bregman?
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of his hits. I think it was for his career, actually, overlaid over Oracle Park, and it looked like he gained in homers but lost in, like, and this isn't surprising because, like, if you just think of the parks, so he gained in homers a bit for opposite field ones because the ball wasn't getting doinked off the wall. But some of those doinks off the wall went for either long singles or doubles, so that hurts his average. So I would guess, like, what we're going to see is probably a guy who's going to hit for more power and a little bit less average. I wouldn't expect like a drastic change in his overall value for this year, at least. Like I said, during my rant earlier, I don't love this as he gets older, but who knows what happens like in 3 or 4 years. Maybe, maybe the Giants offload him at some point. Who knows? That's for another day. But I would say as long as his shoulder is okay, and obviously it seems okay for now. I didn't love him coming into the year, as people know. I was pretty concerned about his second half last year. It was pretty miserable. So I was worried about his shoulder coming into this year. I was sort of an avoid. I was an avoid. I avoided him in every league. He looks great, obviously, but I mean, he did look great in the first half of last year. Now, maybe the shoulder issues are totally behind him, and he's fine now. He seems fine. So yeah, I don't think this move is going to drastically change his value. I think probably gains a little bit maybe in homers, like I said, loses a little bit in average. We may not see that necessarily this year because it's just like, that's a small sample. It may not happen, like the correction there. But yeah, I mean, I think he's okay. I saw, like I said earlier, I saw an overlay of his hits for his career in Oracle, and it looked like he had quite a few like McCovey Cove homers. He had a ton of homers. Like he didn't lose a lot. Obviously, with the pesky pole and the way Fenway juts in on the right, it helps him. The bullpen a little bit helped him in Fenway, and the wall helped him for average going the other way. So yeah, I mean, I would say Fenway is definitely. I mean, it is obviously a better park. I mean, there's no doubting that. But I don't think it's going to kill him either. I think he'll be okay. And I think the Giants lineup isn't that awful. I don't think it's like. I prefer the Red Sox. I prefer him in the Red Sox lineup and in Fenway. Don't get me wrong. I think if anything, he takes a little bit of a hit here, but not a ton. Once they get Chapman back, I think. Actually, I heard Rafael Devers is the Buster Posey asked him if he would play the field, and he was like, "Yeah, I would." He would. He said he would. So. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Rafael Devers play a couple games in the field since Matt Chapman's out for the next I think it's like 3 weeks or something. So actually I wouldn't be surprised. Rafael Devers would be like, if you want me to pitch, I'm fine doing that. I don't care. I'll do anything. Oh man, it's also back to not to go back to that incredibly long rant I did earlier, but one thing I didn't mention was like they were the ones that said to him like, put away your glove, we don't want you to field, and then they asked him to suddenly start fielding again. So that felt like a roundabout way to like go at it, and then it became a public feud. This all became like untenable as far as like Rafael Devers and Breslow, it felt like. And, this felt personal. And it shouldn't have, like, Buster Posey, maybe he's I would assume he's a player GM. Like, he's a player's GM, meaning, like, he can speak to the players better than some GMs, even though Breslow played too. So, I don't know. But, maybe it's just a fresh start that Posey – doesn't have that baggage coming into this where like if he says to Devers like, hey, you want to play first a little bit, he might be open to it. I don't know. I would prefer Rafael Devers goes into 2026 with some position eligibility is what I'm saying. Like I don't mind him for this year, even though I don't have him. But next year, if he's going to be DH only, I'd like to get in on Devers again if he has a good second half this year and he doesn't have like issues with his shoulder. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe he gets first base eligibility. Maybe, like I said, maybe he plays third while Chapman's injured. I don't know. I would love to see Devers get some position eligibility though, heading into next year, whether that's first or third. But yeah, anyway, long story short, I think he's probably going to take a slight hit, but not really that big of a hit. I think he's more or less, you know what you're getting from Rafael Devers, at least for 2025.
Yeah, I'm a little more pessimistic, I think. I mean, he's going to a much worse park. The midseason trade very rarely results in positive changes for the numbers, or even just neutral numbers. It usually goes the other way, where it's pretty bad. He's changing leagues as well mid-season. I don't love this, actually, and I would probably go ahead and use this to move on from him if I get appropriate value. Some of the guys that I wrote here for you. I mean, Manny Machado's right behind him on the player rater. If you could make that swap, I would do that. I'm trying to look at some other names near him in the player rater, like O'Neal Cruz. I feel like it kind of depends on where your average is, but if you need more power speed than average in power, I would make that one. James Wood's been amazing. I would make that trade. Churio, I think, has some better days ahead of him. I would make that trade. Lindor, again, right behind him on player rater.
I didn't realize Rafael Devers was that high on the player rater. He's having a really good year.
Yeah, he's having a great season. I just don't think he continues as a top 20 player in San Francisco. I think it's more.
No, I would
top
agree.
40, top 50.
I would agree with that. I mean, I did say he'd take a little bit of a hit. I don't know. Maybe you're saying he'll take a bigger hit than I will. Splitting hairs. I would say all those names that you mentioned, I would take the opposite name, and all, like James Wood, Manny Machado, Tatis, Zach Wheeler. I mean, these are all apples and oranges kind of. But I would take all those guys over Rafael Devers.
Okay, so we're actually kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like selling him for let's see, someone who's at 50. So say like Riley Green, I feel like then you're just panic selling there.
Yeah, but Juan Soto, on the other hand.
Yeah, I mean, Juan Soto. Yeah, if you're selling for Juan Soto, that's a good trade, because Juan Soto should be much better than he's been, and Devers might be a little bit worse. Yeah, I didn't. Wow, Andy Pages is top 50. That's incredible.
He's been great. Great.
Wow, I have him in Tout Wars too. Oh, by the way, first place right now in Tout Wars is yours truly.
Hey, congratulations, Greg. Now you just got to keep it up for
I won the
first
season. 3 months. What? Actually, 2.5 months. I won the first 2.5 months.
Andy Pies is going to end up the season as a top 40 player, and I'm sure he got dropped in like every league multiple times to begin the season.
Yeah, I think I might have dropped him in our RCL. I'm pretty sure
you did, Greg.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had him at one point.
But you churn a lot in that one. So
yeah, I probably should churn Ozzy Albies. Anyway.
Yeah, let's move on. A fun piece of news. I don't know. There's a whole lot to do about it, but Ohtani returns to the mound today. He's going to start the game. I don't know that he's going to go, that many pitches into the game. But what are your thoughts about Ohtani, the pitcher? Obviously, you're going to roll him out as a hitter in standard or in weekly leagues, but for daily leagues, for Ohtani as a 2-player league, are you rolling him out immediately? What are your expectations for the rest of the season?
I think actually this is probably a good case scenario, not the best case scenario. The best case scenario would be he's pitching 7-8 innings a start and chucking in 12 to 14 Ks a start. That would be the best case scenario. But a good case scenario is, I think he goes out there and he works as the opener, throws an inning or two, has shows what it stretches, it just slowly stretches himself out, and as he's doing that, he continues to hit well. That's, I think, and that's what I hope. That's what we're going to get. I think that's what we're going to get. So yeah, I'm fine with this. I don't think there's no league where I would start him as a pitcher at over him as a hitter. Like if you have him, if he's one player in your league where you have to decide if you're going to use him as a hitter or a pitcher, do not use him as a pitcher. I wouldn't use him as a pitcher until he's thrown at least a 5-inning start, and that may not be until August, maybe. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes him to stretch out, but I would not anticipate him throwing like a full start for a while. I still think he's probably still a good month, 6 weeks away from, ever really considering him a starter in your fantasy league. So, just like watch him as a fan, watch him pitch for an inning or two, but continue to use him as a hitter in all your leagues. Now, if you have him as if you have him as a separate player where you can start him as a hitter and a pitcher, or you have him in a league where you have him only as a pitcher, I would start him like as you're starting, like say a good middle reliever, just start him and, have him in there for his inning or two. Maybe you get a handful of strikeouts, maybe not even a handful, maybe you get a couple. But yeah, I would be fine starting him as like an opener, but I wouldn't acquire him. Like if anything, I'd be selling him. If I had him as only a pitcher, I would try and sell him off of the strength of, whatever he does in his first time out. Like, because you're not, like I said, you're not going to get a real starter for at least another month to 6 weeks. So if you can sell him for anything off of the strength of his first start, I would do it. I mean, it depends on what you can get and what you need, obviously, but and that's only in a very specific case where you have him as only a pitcher. That's not saying sell him if you have him as a hitter. If you have him as a hitter, please, by all means, continue to use him as a hitter.
Yes, absolutely. Pitcher only, Gray. Would you trade him for Jesus Luzardo, who obviously got rocked for 2 straight outings?
Oh my God, you're trying to trigger me. Is this what the Zoomers mean when they get triggered? Like what? Why are you personally attacking me by saying Jesus Luzardo? That hurts me, man. I had oh my God, I had him I was so invested in that. That killed me. Anyway, trying to regroup here mentally and emotionally. I would trade Ohtani as a pitcher for Luzardo. Yes, I would. There would be there's like top 40 starters. I would trade Ohtani as a pitcher. Top 100 hitters, I'd probably would do it. I mean, like just about anything like that is worthwhile, I would probably trade Ohtani as a pitcher. Because if we get like 40 to 50 innings from Ohtani, I feel like that would be a victory for Ohtani, but not for fantasy leagues. Like, I don't really think we're going to get that. I don't expect a ton, to be honest. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could see him pitch meaningful games for our game sometime after the All-Star break. And like you said, August might be the most realistic timeline. Maybe a start or two before then. But yeah, I mean, Luzardo's currently number 49 on the player rater because of those 2 just horrendous starts. But other than that, he's been good. So yeah, I mean, I would make that trade. Like you said, if they're reasonably good, I'd make that trade. Number 56 on the player rater, Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, I would take.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we're into like the 60s. It's the streaming and really kind of your roster too. Can you wait for Ohtani to build up to that point, or do you need innings and strikeouts and wins right now, and building up through the season? That's gonna be a little bit of whether you.
Here's one for you. Would you take the next guy we're going to discuss, Jacob Misiorowski, or Ohtani the pitcher?
I think I'd probably go Ohtani just because they're probably both capped on innings. I don't expect either to really throw more than 60 innings this season. So at that point, I'll take the Ohtani 60 innings over the Misiorowski 60 innings and just know Ohtani's are going to come later, Misiorowski's are come earlier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into them.
Yeah, let's talk about Jacob Misiorowski, who was called up by the Brewers. He is number 30 on Itch's prospect rankings list. In AAA this year, he had 63 and a third innings, 12 starts, 2.13 ERA, 109 whip. He had a 31.6% K rate, a 12.3% walk rate. In his first start, he had 5 strikeouts, 4 walks, 0 earned. He is a 100-mile-an-hour fastball guy, has a slider and a curve as well. I mean, the stuff looks good, Gray. The 4 walks, not ideal. What are your feelings on Jacob Misiorowski? And what are your thoughts on Ohtani versus him since we brought him up?
I agree with you. I think we know a little bit more on Ohtani than we do on Misiorowski. Like we saw what the Brewers did with Logan Henderson, and like he looked great, and then they sent him down. So I feel like Misiorowski is exciting and sexy, but you don't really know what you're going to get at this point. Like it's too early to be like I think it's too early to say like Misiorowski is a sure bet for 75 to 100 innings of like no hit ball like he did in his first start. It's like it's a little early for that. Where Ohtani, we know Ohtani's great. We're recording this before Ohtani pitches in his first game. Watch him go out and give up like 7 earned runs in his first start. But what you said though, I mean, I do agree. I think Ohtani is just a little bit of a safer bet. So we agree there. I think with Misiorowski though, like I did like he feels like the stereotypical guy who, if you watch him, you're like so sold that he's like nasty. He's so nasty. Like you're so in that it's hard to see like, the downside because he looks so good. You're just like, oh my God, this guy is what's he like 7 feet tall and he throws 103 miles per hour. I mean, it's like basically he's like 2 feet from the plate and he's releasing the ball at 100 miles per hour. Good luck hitting it, man. Unfortunately, he can't find the plate, which is it's a bit of a drawback. Like I'm concerned about starting him versus the Cubs this week. Like that gives you an idea where I'm at with Misiorowski. Like, do I really 100% trust him? I don't know, man. I want to. I mean, he looked good. I watched all 5 of his innings. He looked excellent. I mean, there's no doubt about the stuff. But yeah, he just doesn't. He can't control his stuff very well. So it's not great. Yeah, like I'm not even sure if I'm starting him in some leagues versus the Cubs. Like I started him in. I have him in NL only. I have him in Tout Wars, actually, the league where did I mention him in first place? I'm starting him there. That's NL only. I don't think I'm going to start him. I picked him up in our RCL league. I don't think I'm going to start him there. I just don't trust him enough. In a 15-team league, I would start him. So it's kind of like it depends on the league, really. And this is also against the Cubs right now. I mean, the Cubs offense looks incredible. The Wrigley has played like a hitter's park again. I don't know what happened last year, but it's playing like a hitter's park. The lineup looks good. I just don't trust the guy who's throwing that many walks against a patient Cubs team. Like it sounds like a recipe for disaster. So I feel like it feels like a start where you're going to get like 3 1/3 innings, 7 Ks, and 3 earned runs or 4 earned runs. Like that feels like where we're headed this week in Chicago. But that doesn't mean like he gets if he gets a good start the following week, I'll start him again. Like I'm not out just because he has one bad start this week in Wrigley. If he does, that is. I mean, I wouldn't be out after one bad start, but I'm also like, I feel like I'm going start by start with Misiorowski for right now because, I mean, his stuff does look incredible, but he really can't find the plate, like, at all. Like, as unhittable as he is, he feels like one of those guys. Like, he feels like, like that stereotypical huge, big arm that is like, it throws 100 and the ball's all over the map. Like like hitters have no idea where it's going. He has no idea where it's going. The catcher doesn't know where it's going. And the ball is unhittable. But if the batter just doesn't swing, then it's like, all right, well, I'll just take the base.
Yeah, I mean, early career Randy Johnson.
Yeah,
basically just like,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, totally.
Who knows where it's going, but it's gonna be nasty, and good luck hitting it. I would guess the ERA is gonna be fine with some, inconsistencies. I would also guess the whip is gonna potentially bury you occasionally. Just so many walks, and occasionally when you walk, you give up that big hit, and then everything kind of falls apart. So I agree. You're kind of starting them start by start. I agreed. You don't really want to start maybe anybody against the Cubs unless they're absolutely an elite starter at this point. The Cubs offense just been cruising. Loving that as a Cubs fan, but as somebody trying to stream, Misiorowski probably would avoid. Would you rather start him or Dustin May versus the Nationals at home?
Yeah, I was looking actually when you were speaking. I was looking at the Cubs on the leaderboard. They're right there with the Dodgers for the most runs and the most RBIs and homers. They're a little bit behind, but they're still like top 5 in homers. Yeah, they're a good team. The Cubs are good. They got to re-sign Kyle Tucker. Okay, so I'm sorry. What was your question now? Misiorowski or who?
Misiorowski or Dustin May versus the Nationals. Dustin May has been.
I have that decision to make. I'm going Dustin May. I don't know if it's the right decision. I would assume the Streaminator is going to agree with that decision. And yeah, I mean, I think the Streaminator had Misiorowski at like negative $40, something bad. I didn't even look up Dustin May, but I had that exact decision, and I'm going Dustin May in my starting lineup. So I don't know, knock on wood. If you're listening at home, if you're listening after the 2 starts happen, you can either laugh or cheer or jeer.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like that gives you a good spot. Like Dustin May is very much in the like back end roster streaming category. So this week, probably better leave Misiorowski on your bench, but absolutely pick him up because the upside, if he can just keep the walks to a minimum, is huge. A recent call-up, one that was just announced today, and he'll join, is Brady House. He's coming up for the Nationals. Number 41 on Itch's prospect ranks list. 65 games in AAA. He has 13 home runs. He's hitting 304, 353, 519. He's got a 26.5% K rate, 7% walk rate. He should be the starting third baseman for the Nationals. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be. What are your thoughts here on Brady House?
Yeah, they sent down Jose Tena. So yeah, I mean, they cleared the way for Brady House. I grabbed Brady House in a couple leagues, and it was kind of uncontested, and it's hard to know if it was because people weren't paying attention or if they were just like, I'm okay without Brady House. I don't know. It's like, it's hard to know sometimes. So, I mean, I like him. I saw Itch's, Prospect Itch, our prospect guy, is so good about with these prospect stash lists. Like, he really nails them. Like on Sunday, he had Brady House in the top 3 for guys to stash. And like within 24 hours, Brady House gets called up. Like that is really helpful. If you're listening, it's really helpful. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's actually the second guy I got like that because I got Misiorowski in Tout Wars 2 weeks ago, like because he was on Itch's stash list. Like I just picked him up, and that's a 12-team NL only league. Brady House, actually, I got in a 12-team NL only league, the same league with Tout Wars. Okay, anyway, so he looks like he's going to struggle for average potentially. He had a 27% strikeout rate in AAA. It looks like, if that bounces up to 32%, he might struggle to hit 220, which, would hurt his value for at least mixed leagues. He does have huge power. So I would say, he looks to me like at least a 15-team mixed league guy, but in a 12-team mixed league, I'm absolutely watching to see if he hits the ground running, because a power third baseman is, third base isn't as bad as second base, obviously, but a corner man, it's not a bad thing to have if you can get a guy off of waivers who could potentially hit, say, I don't know, 17 to 20 homers the rest of the way, hitting hopefully 230 or higher, but like I said, possibly lower, depending on the strikeouts. But he looks like he's a middle of the order bat, and that's just for this year. In dynasty keepers, I would expect him to already be rostered in most deeper ones, but he looks like he's, possible as soon as next year, even a 30 homer, 240 plus guy with, and not zeros in speed either. Like, he has a 50 grade speed. I would say probably asking for more than 5 to 7 steals over the course of a season is probably asking for a lot, but the Nationals do run a lot. Davey Martinez has no problem stealing bases. So maybe we get more steals from him too than we are expecting. I don't know. A 30 homer, 10 steal, 240 hitter next year, that's huge. I don't know if we're there. Obviously there's a long way to go before we get to what he's going to be able to do next year. We have to see what he can do this year. But if he can stay up, and I really like, the Nationals called him up, they sent down Tana. It really feels like he's up for good as long as he doesn't completely bottom out, which is, that's also possible when you have a guy who strikes out a lot. You never know. He could potentially hit 170 and get sent down in 2 or 3 weeks. That's also possible, but hopefully not. But the power alone definitely plays in most deeper mixed leagues, probably just shy of a 12-team mixed league. But if you really need upside, I don't hate it. Like, even in an RCL, if you really if you're looking for upside, you grab him and see what happens. And if he, fails to do anything in the next week, then you just drop him. But I would, also in that vein, I would be careful about, dropping anyone too valuable in order to pick them up. But everyone in RCL league, 12-team mixed league, that is, everyone should have at least one guy who's, a flex that is you're capable of dropping at a moment's notice. So yeah, I don't mind the flyer on Brady House.
Yeah, 12-team mixed league, very shallow benches. Yeah, I think he's right on the border of that. I will say third base and corner this year have been really streamer heavy positions unless you drafted a couple very early, because anybody who's in that area, anybody who's in the 10 to 20 of first or third, they've had a good month and then they've been terrible for 3 weeks. So you kind of have to just keep playing that game of moving them in and out. So I really don't mind the shot on Brady House and just see kind of if he can carry over the good hitting that he was having in AAA. And as you mentioned, the Nationals just run.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the Nationals run, absolutely. He's probably in that camp of Nick Kurtz, Jay Caglione, and Brady House. And that's the order I would put them well.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving over. Let's talk about a guy who's been up. We've seen him. We got a glimpse early on, and then he's kind of disappeared until last week, Gray. And that is Evan Carter. Number 1 on the 7-day player rater. Last week he had 26 plate appearances, 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He hit 500, 577, 1045. Like I said, we haven't really seen this side of him since he first got called up. Is this just another little glimpse, or are we starting to get the breakout we thought we would get after that great initial look, Ray?
Evan Carter's breaking out, and the monkey paw curls, and there goes his hamstring. the guy is so cursed. I think it was I picked him up in our RCL league, and I was holding him this week. He was great. And then I forget what the injury was, but like by Sunday he was injured again. I was like, oh man, okay, guy, he can't get a break except for the break to his femur or something. I mean, I like Evan Carter. I want to be fully invested. I mean, he looks like, you mentioned the recent numbers, but like, for the year even. It's still a small sample size because he hasn't played a ton, but in 64 at bats this year, he has drastically reduced his strikeouts. Like, he looks more comfortable. He's only 22 years old, turns 23 in August. I think he still has all that potential that we thought he did back in early preseason of 2024 when I think. Preseason 2024, I want to say, like, there was people in the camp of Wyatt Langford is going to be the big breakout, but Evan Carter might be the big breakout. Like, I want to say there were still people who were divided in the Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford camp. Now, I think everyone obviously feels like Wyatt Langford has surpassed Evan Carter, but I don't know, at 22 years old, I wouldn't write off Evan Carter at all. Like, I do think the potential is still there. I feel like he might be a big time sleeper going into next year. That's my sort of my big picture take on Evan Carter. I feel like people are going to be really excited about him for next year, and this year still might be a little bit hit or miss. But yeah, I would grab him. I had him. I wrote up a post for him last Friday. He was in Friday's buy column. I'm totally in the camp of being like, he could potentially be breaking out right now because, yeah, I mean, the strikeouts are way down. They look good. I mean, he looks like he's making better contact. He's starting to put it together. I wish he would steal more, but that is more, I think, on a team philosophy thing more than him. So, but still, I mean, he's stolen more bases, at least in the very, very recent past. So that's good. Yeah, I would grab him in any league, by the way. I would say any mixed league. Evan Carter's definitely worth grabbing to see if he's finally putting together, because if he does put it together, it could be really great.
Yeah, I mean, if he puts it together and he's the guy we saw at first glance, like, he could be a difference maker and a league winner, especially you scoop him up for free. In just looking at the brief time he came up earlier this season, then he got hurt, and then he's come back. Hard hit is almost doubled, Gray. Exit velocity is up 11 miles per hour on average. Barrel rate is looking really solid. So, the numbers bear out that he's hitting the ball a lot better this time around. I'm not willing to say it's the full breakout, but I'm definitely willing to grab him and start him and see if this is going to go all right. Like you said, with that hot week, I mean, the numbers for the season really don't look that bad. In only 22 games, 4 home runs, 5 stolen bases, 281. Obviously, that's one very, very hot week, but he has that in him as well. Would you rather have him or Adolis Garcia, Gray?
I would go Evan Carter.
Carter or Castellanos? Nick Castellanos.
I would probably go Evan Carter.
All right. How about Evan Carter or this year's Nolan Jones slash insert Rockies outfielder Jordan Beck?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Bretton Doyle. Yeah, Jordan Beck. No, I would go Evan Carter. This is all at the time of the recording. Evan Carter seems like he's going to avoid the IL. So if Evan Carter goes on the IL between now and when people listen to this, that changes my opinion. But yes, I'll take Evan Carter over Jordan Beck.
Okay, so we're both pretty in on this Evan Carter hot streak and thinking he is going to continue this. Let's move over to the Athletics, where the other Max Muncy has been hitting well since his return. Gray, 10 games, he has 4 home runs, a stolen base. He's hitting 244, 262, 537, number 12 on the 7-day player rater. What are your thoughts on Max Muncy, number 2?
Well, he was the lead buy for this buy column this past Friday. So I actually really like Max Muncy the second. I think he's probably a little bit underappreciated. I got the sense, now I could be wrong here, but I got the sense from comments in my buy column that people were not really feeling the Max Muncy thing. They were more, it was more about like everyone else except for Max Muncy. I think Max Muncy, like if you look at his numbers in the minors, like he does strike out a lot. So there could be a bit of a struggle to hit for a decent average. And right now he's hitting 202 on the year. So, that's not great. Like you mentioned, he had a good hot week, so he was hitting well for the last week. So, I mean, he doesn't have a ton of, what has he got, 31 games, 113 plate appearances. So he doesn't have a huge sample size. So I would imagine the 202 batting average can come up a little bit. Like he could hit 230. So it's still not amazing, but 230 is going to be, if that comes with power and some speed, that's not a terrible guy at second base. Like second base is brutal this year. So I'm interested in Max Muncy in the big picture here. I do think he was a pickup for this week. He was someone who, if you want to grab a guy who had a hot bat, he was the guy to grab. I think. At least one of them for the last, for this week, he was that guy. But with that said, I think he can be more or less like he can be somewhat valuable even going forward. I don't think he's just a 1 week hot bat. Like he could be something. It's going to be really dependent on how much contact he can make. I like the stadium, at least at home. I like his home stadium for power. I do think he's got 5 to 7 steal speed. So, if he can hit for some power, steal a handful of bags and hit 230 at second base, I mean, God, at this point, I would love that for Ozzie Albies. I mean, please let Ozzie Albies do something. So, yeah, I like Max Muncy a bit. Probably a bit more than I feel is like most people, but I do like him. To a certain extent, if it's like him or I don't know, him or like a second base. I'm trying to think of a decent second baseman.
I like Willie Castro. He's been, consistently streaking.
Yeah. No, I would try Max Muncy because the good and the bad with Willie Castro is if he's hot, you can pick him up off of waivers, and he will stay on waivers until he gets hot again because no one cares about Willie Castro. You will always find Willie Castro on waivers whenever you want Willie Castro. So that's the good thing with Willie and the bad thing. So I would pick up Max Muncy over Willie Castro.
All right. How about Dylan Moore?
I would go Max Muncy.
Okay, so I mean you're pretty high on Max Muncy then. At least a middle infielder, if not even a potential for a starting second baseman or a late outfielder if he qualifies. in your league at outfield. And I don't hate that. I might go Dylan Moore just because I think they're kind of similar builds and that they're going to be a little bit power, a little speed, and probably not a whole lot of average. And Dylan Moore's playing time seems like it's at least locked in, whereas I don't know if Muncy's is quite as locked in. That being said, Muncy's park is drastically better as well, so you can at least always start him at home, and he is at home all this week. So at least for this week, I would definitely go Max Muncy.
Dylan Moore is the Mariners. Dylan Moore is who you're talking about. Is he even playing anymore? not no pun intended, because he's like
he is kind of fallen into a platoon, unfortunately. He's getting into every game, but he's not necessarily staying in every game.
He's become a bit of a lefty only platoon guy. I don't know. I would move on from Dylan Moore, but if you need steals, okay.
Muncy could also give you steals. I mean, I think we maybe underspoke his ability to take bases. He didn't really do it this year in the minors, but he has before. And a lot of his numbers are in very small sample sizes across different leagues.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, great. Let's talk about a player who's not playing particularly well, at least by his standards, and that is Bobby Witt Jr., who, I'm not going to lie, I selfishly put on here because I have him, and it's not been great. Last year, his worst month, he hit 278. In May, he hit 243, and he's hitting 234 so far in June. He does have the best average exit velocity of his career, so that's good. All the underlying numbers look fine for the most part. What are your thoughts in regards to Bobby Witt Jr., who, again, didn't hit under 278 in a single month last year? We're looking at 2 back-to-back months where he's hitting under 250.
Yeah, that's not good. I was perusing his numbers. I'm kind of surprised at how sort of mediocre he's doing. But in his defense, even when he's having it looks like a bit of a down year for power and average, he has been stealing bags. So if you're getting it looks like he looks like a Corbin Carroll in what we thought Corbin Carroll was going to be type year. It looks like Corbin Carroll and Bobby Witt Jr. have switched bodies. Are they filming a body switch movie that we don't know about?
Freaky Friday 5?
Yeah, is it Bobby Witt Jr. and Corbin Carroll in Freaky Friday 5? I think, this is kind of concerning for at least this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1-year blip, but it's still early enough where he could fix some of these power numbers and his average. I wouldn't necessarily count him out on that respect. I do remember last July, August, he was unreal. It was, what was it, last July or August, right?
It was both. It was July was stupid. He hit I think 10 home runs in July.
Right.
He both months were absolutely absurd.
Right. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if he comes on and corrects some of this, the power and batting average. I would be buying, if anything. The good thing is, like I said, even if his numbers, even if the power and average don't bounce back, at worst, you're going to get, a 17 homer, 50 steals, 280 hitter, which, there's worse things than that, right? That's like one of the best years Trey Turner ever did when he was a top 5 guy. So I would be buying Bobby Witt Jr. if I could. I would assume anyone who's selling wants probably the world. I don't think you're going to be able to buy low on them necessarily. I would think, anyone, if you draft a guy in the top, 3 overall, it's not like you're going to be able to, just suddenly be able to buy low with like Edwin Diaz and Hunter Goodman or something. I don't see that happening necessarily. Even though both of those guys have done well. I think Bobby Witt Jr. looks like to me a guy who has had a little bit of he's slumping a little bit, and he's not necessarily, he's not getting the lift on his power hasn't been there. His lift is not, he's not hitting the ball as hard. He's not lifting the ball as well. But it doesn't look like catastrophic. Like I think, if anything, I was more worried about Juan Soto, who also in the last week has done well to turn around a lot of his numbers. So yeah, I'd be buying on Bobby Witt Jr. I don't necessarily know if the power is going to get there, but it could. I mean, it did last second half, so I wouldn't be shocked if it happened again.
Yeah, so I looked it up, Gray. Last July and August, Bobby Witt hit 389 with 17 home runs and 5 stolen bases with 51 runs and 42 RBIs. So yeah, I mean, if he does that for 2 months, then you're going to be pretty good. Let me ask you a few. I mean, right now on the player radar or on Rudy's projections, Ohtani, Judge, Acuna, Jose Ramirez above him. All still above him for you?
No.
No? Okay.
Bobby, yeah. I mean, I would say Ohtani, Judge. Did you said Acuna too, right?
Acuna and Jose Ramirez. Would you have all of those guys above?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't have Acuna above Bobby Witt Jr. Jose Ramirez feels fine, but if a little bit iffy, I would probably have them pretty close. But I think I would still put Bobby Witt Jr. above Jose Ramirez and Acuna. Definitely Acuna for sure. Jose Ramirez and Bobby Witt are super close in my mind. Acuna, I mean, we saw he finally got a steal this weekend, which was great, but I don't think he's going to be running like we expect of a Ronald Acuna Jr. I think, the power's been great. He looks like he's still, he looks like he can still hit well. But if the steals go to, 10, 12 steals, I mean, that's a different Ronald Acuna than, I think we're used to. So I don't know. I wouldn't have, don't get me wrong. I still like Ronald Acuna Jr. I just don't think he's at the level of being better than Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Ronald Acuna did come off a ridiculously good week last week where he hit 619, Gray, with 3 home runs and a stolen base. So, I'm not putting it past him to be better, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Just from a health perspective, the combined stolen bases being there, I can get behind that.
I mean, let's put it straight here, Beat On. If you had Bobby Witt Jr., would you trade him today for Ronald Acuna Jr.? Like literally, you would trade him straight up.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would add Ellie to that list. I think Ellie's clearly put himself in that elite group.
Oh yeah,
I think that's it though. Maybe Tucker.
Yeah,
that's probably the list
over Acuna.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Ellie's over Acuna. Tucker's
over Witt too for me. I mean,
over Witt. Yeah, over Witt. Yeah. Ellie looks incredible, man.
Ellie's been ridiculous.
I have no complaints about drafting Ellie in like
everywhere.
Like 8 of 10 leagues. I have literally no complaints about that. It's some of my complaints lie with like Christian Walker. Oh,
Matt McClain.
Paul Reagans. I have complaints. Don't get me wrong. I just don't have complaints about Ellie.
No, it's hard to complain about Ellie at this point. Let's move over to bullpens where there's always something to complain about. Gray,
Oh, yeah.
there's always something over here. Over in Philly, Jordan Romano sucks. Because whoever closes in Philly sucks. It's just how it is, Gray.
That's how it is.
Matt Strom got a save. Is it a change? Is this, is this now a committee? Do you just never want a Phillies closer ever again because it's awful? It's a terrible experience.
Yeah, all that. Brad Lidge cursed the Philly bullpen in 2009. I don't know what's going on, man, with the Phillies, but they have a great closer. Like 2.5 weeks, then they have a terrible closer for like a week and a half, and then they get a new closer every month. This is how it happens every month. It's like on June, let's see, May 1st, May 15th, we'll say May 15th, Jordan Romano became the Phillies closer and looked great for 2 weeks. Then he became terrible for a week and a half, and now he's not the closer anymore. Every month this happens. I don't know why, but it does. It's awful. It's a terrible thing to have to deal with for fantasy. I guess Matt Strom is now the closer. I don't think, honestly, I guess. But you know what's gonna happen there, right? Because I just told you. I just told you exactly what's gonna happen, because it will, in exactly 2 weeks, Strom's gonna look terrible, and then for a week he's gonna be terrible, and then Kirkling is gonna, or whatever his name is gonna become the closer. That's what's gonna happen. I don't know. I mean, I guess Romano. I mean, I would probably say at this point, it's a committee. I feel like Romano just is not really, he doesn't feel worth rostering in most mixed leagues. I mean, I mean, unless you're desperate for saves, but it's like, how desperate are you that you're going to have, like, he's got a 7+ ERA. He has a 4+ walk per 9. I mean, he looks terrible. Just an absolute mess. Matt Strom looks better, but you just wait. You wait, because he won't be good in 2 weeks. I'll tell you that. I guess he's also a lefty, which, I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, it wouldn't be me who would have a problem with it, but I think Rob Thompson has an issue. It feels like, at least, that he's like one of those old school managers where he's like, oh, lefty can't be the everyday closer. So I don't know. If I had to rank them, I'd probably say, still, as of right this moment, I'd probably say Romano, Strom, and then Kirkring.
Okay. Yeah, I think in order of who gets the next save, I would agree. In order of who I want on my team, just give me Orion Kirkring. The rest of them are terrible, Gray. Yeah. I don't even want Strom or Romano pitching for me. Like you said, if you absolutely need every save, okay. But owning them is like, I know you didn't watch the US Open, Gray, but it's basically like hitting driver at Oakmont. Like, you're either going to put it down the fairway and it's going to be just fine, or it's not in the fairway and you are just screwed and there's nothing you can do about it. Over in Atlanta, I mean, basically the same thing, right? Nobody wants it here. They have people who've been throwing well, but as soon as you give them the closer role, they just collapse in on themselves. Is there anybody here you want?
There's also, I guess the Mets. I was thinking it's an NL East issue, because the Marlins aren't much better.
No,
but the
Mets don't care who they have.
The Mets are good. The Marlins just don't care. The Marlins did the Marlins are like the Marlins seem like they're like the manager is like the guy from Memento, where they're like, who's the closer? I don't know. I literally have no idea. It's like there's no even like rhyme or reason with the usage in Miami. It's like, wait, is Foucher the closer? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Same with Atlanta though. I would guess. Let's see. I would probably go Dylan Moore. Dylan Lee. Pierce Johnson. I honestly, I think I said this last week. I would just probably bench like Dylan Lee or Raciel Iglesias or Pierce Johnson. I would put them on my bench if I needed saves. Maybe you miss out on a save or two, but just put them on your bench to see how they look. And if one of them takes the job and runs with it, then you can move them into your lineup and get saves after that. But at this point, there's no one you can trust in the Braves bullpen.
No, there's not. And if there is, it's Dylan Lee, who has the lefty issue going. And I mean, if there's any manager in all of baseball who's not going to give the job to a lefty, I mean, come on.
I mean, you could just look at him and be like, that guy is not using a lefty.
He is not using a lefty.
I can tell you right now. I don't have to know anything about baseball, but I just looking at a picture, I'm like, that guy's not using a lefty. I can tell you that.
Absolutely not. Over in Boston, Gray, Greg Weissert got 2 saves this week. Any concern on Aroldis' role there?
No, I think Alex Cora said that Chapman, he wanted to give Chapman 2 days of rest after he pitched on Friday. And I mean, Chapman's been so good. So yeah, I don't see any reason to worry about Chapman, assuming he's healthy, which as far as we know, he's healthy. Maybe the Red Sox will trade him for like Bailey Falter or something. It's like, I don't know. I mean, that'd be a
trade in comparison, honestly.
Actually, Bailey Falter's been a lot better than Kyle Harrison. They should have traded
that's actually a great trade in comparison.
Yeah, they should have traded him. They should have traded Devers to Pittsburgh. Bailey Falter. Oh my God! Imagine Devers is in Pittsburgh. Talk about like hating a person. Like, oh my God, we hate you so much. We sent you to the Pirates. Oh God.
All right, great. Let's move over to LA. I mean, this is Tanner Scott, Vesia, Kopech, whoever else they want to have in that bullpen really is getting looks at saves. Is it still Tanner Scott for you?
Yeah, I think Tanner Scott is the closer. I just think they have so many good arms that occasionally other guys will get work, and sometimes I will say, I mean, it's not great for fantasy, but for real baseball, I mean, there's worse things than Dave Roberts throwing Tanner Scott in the 8th inning against the heart of a lineup or something. And that's what it seems like. It seems like whenever Tanner Scott works the 8th, he's working it because it's like the heart of the lineup. So, I mean, it's not great for fantasy, but it does make somewhat sense. So occasionally other guys will get saves, but it seems like Tanner Scott is the guy.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, it does seem like Alex Vesia has been we used Tanner Scott. Let's put in Vesia, and he's been getting the save. So if you're in a league where the second guy in a bullpen is owned, it's Vesia, and really his numbers have been great. So you could just start him even if you're not chasing saves, and you're still going to get good numbers from him or really anybody in the Dodgers bullpen. They've all been phenomenal, which is it pisses me off, Greg, because the Cubs bullpen is mediocre at best. That's being very generous, by the way. Let's move on to waivers, Gray, before I get too upset about the Cubs bullpen. What batters you got for the people?
Okay, so it looks like Casey Schmidt has been hot. Oh, wait a minute. I feel like he might be losing playing time. I think Casey Schmidt. Well, it depends on Rafael Devers and if he wants to pick up a glove. But right now, Casey Schmidt has been hot for the last week. We mentioned earlier, Evan Carter's been hot. Josh H. Smith, H is for hot. Willie Adames has been. Willie Adames, wow, look at the Giants. Ryan McMahon has been hot over the last week. J.P. Crawford, Alejandro Kirk has really been like hot, as well as like hitting. I want to say he was hitting like 315 last time I checked. Anyway, Max Kepler has been hot. Actually, I picked him up in our RCL league. I've been holding Max Kepler. He's been hot. Max Muncy, who we mentioned earlier. Max Muncy, that's the A's Max Muncy. You would know that if you listen to the whole show. Dane Myers, Marlins center fielder. He's been hot. Brooks Lee, guy's got a lot of eligibility, a lot of position eligibility. Twins has been hot. Otto Kemp has been hot as well. Been playing third for the Phillies while Bryce Harper's he's been playing first while Bryce Harper is out. Louis Rengifo hit 2 homers, I believe, on Saturday. So he's been hot. And Alec Thomas has been hot. So there's some names for you. Good luck.
Yeah, that's a lot of names for the people. Hopefully somebody can help them. On the streaming side, this is not a good week for streaming options. I apologize if you're really looking for streaming options this week, because it's slim pickings. A lot of the guys have either terrible matchups or they're terrible, in which case I don't want you to get blown up. So Noah Cameron at San Diego, Zach Littell versus Baltimore, Hayden Birdsong versus Cleveland, and UC Kikuchi versus Houston. I don't actually love any of those, but this is the best of a very bad bunch. If you don't want to start any of those, I have some reliever names for you to start that are probably available in your league. Jason Junk, Garrett Whitlock, Brian Baker, Sean Armstrong, Eric Orrs, Bennett Souza, Dennis Santana, Danny Colombe, and Stephen Okert. They've all been great, and you can start them rather than a starter this week because, again, the streaming options this week are brutal. So I really hope that you have starters already set for your leagues this week. If not, you can always find us on Twitter. I'm at RazBeaton. Gray is at Razball. YouTube.com/RazballFantasy. In the Razball.com comment section. Wherever you want to find us, you can ask us questions. Hopefully you get those lineups set correctly, and I will talk to you next week, Gray.
All right, late.